Hello everyone, this is Luis Lopez. Welcome to the Comic Catholic. Thank you for watching these videos. If you like them, share them. If you know anyone who would benefit from them, pass them along. And if you have any questions or comments or even suggestions for future videos, you can email me at contact@commoncatholic.com. But I'll put a link down in the bottom so you can see. And today we're going to be talking about prayers and how God answers them. I meet many people who ask about prayer, whether they be people who are really involved with their faith and in the church, or people who are just away. And I hear the same question from both groups of people. Why won't God answer my prayers? How long must I wait? Haven't I paid enough? Haven't I suffered enough? Why did I lose this family member? Why did I lose this relationship? Why this hurt? And why won't God answer my prayers? So I want to start with just opening up what is prayer. Prayer is the means by which we come to know God. Prayer is the means of which how we fulfill and how we exchange in our relationship with God, because Christianity in its deepest sense is a relationship between us and Jesus Christ. We tend to think, and society tends to think, that prayer is only for asking God for things. And it's true that you do ask God for things in prayer. You should ask Him. But it's not just to ask Him for things. It's also to get to know Him better, to thank Him. If you meet someone, how do you get to know them? How do you build your relationship? You communicate with them. And communicating with God is exactly what prayer is. So the first step, I would say, I have some notes here. The first step, I would say, if you are having trouble with your prayers, or if you just have questions, or if you feel like you're in a just a low rut, whatever, ask God for things vocally. I think we tend to keep it in our heads and in our hearts and just take it for granted that God knows our hearts, but we need to speak what we want vocally. We need to let Him know. And when we do this, we actually start to articulate what we want better, and then we get a better idea of what we want from God, what we need to ask for. Sometimes when it just stays in your mind and your heart, it doesn't come out, and you may not know exactly what you need. You may think that you need this one thing, but it turns out you need this other thing. And so for this step, I want to go to Matthew chapter 7, verse 7. It says, "Ask, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you shall find. Knock, and it will be opened to you. For everyone who asks receives, and he who seeks finds. And to him who knocks, it will be opened." Ask in full-out sentences, and persist. I think that's the key also, persist. Sometimes, as I'm not a parent yet, but sometimes as parents, it's easy to see that kids will have to ask and ask and ask before their parent, their mother or father, actually relents. And it's really a beautiful image when you think about it, because that's God in us. He wants to see how much we really want it. Usually if a child asks their parents for a toy maybe one time, and that feeling goes away, well, you didn't really want that toy. The next step is, it's so huge. It's the biggest step in having God answer your prayers and tapping into this relationship, this conversation with Him, is to have faith. One of the biggest mistakes is that we ask God for things, but we don't really believe it. We don't really believe that He's gonna deliver, because so many times before it seems like He hasn't delivered, because either we're asking for the wrong things, or He's not giving us what will actually hurt us. He's actually looking out for us. Just because your child asks you for something doesn't mean that you give it to them right away. If it's bad for them, you won't give it to them. You'll give them something else, maybe totally different, that's good for them. And it's the same thing with us, because we're all God's children. But for faith, let's go to Matthew 17, starting verse 20. And he said to them, because of the littleness of your faith, for truly I say to you, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move, and nothing will be impossible for you. The disciples are actually asking Jesus here, why couldn't they exorcise this boy who had a demon in him? And he says, it's because of the littleness of your faith. Imagine exorcising someone who has a demon in them. The demon leaves, and you can see it. You see the fruits of your prayer like that. We don't really see the fruits of our prayer like that. We have to wait for them, and we have to live out our lives as our prayers are answered. So if all the disciples need is the faith of a mustard seed to not only drive the demons out of someone, but to actually move a mountain. To move a mountain, the faith of a mustard seed. Imagine what you can do with just the faith of a mustard seed in your own life. So it's super important, have faith, believe. Belief is the cost. Faith is the price you pay to have God answer your prayers. And it's a small price to pay, faith, because it's just belief. It's really believing in your heart and in your soul that Jesus is who he says he is, and that he's heard you, and that he has answered your prayers. And that moves us to the last step, having patience. Because if we believe, ask and it will be given to you, if we believe all these things, then we believe God has answered our prayer. Past tense, we've asked, and if it's in good faith, if we're asking for something good, virtuous, not the new iPhone or new iPad or whatever, if we're asking for something virtuous, then God has answered your prayers. So the last step is having patience. If we ask God for something, we have to be patient. And here's where I think people really just maybe don't make it, or they lose faith, is because they're waiting for a long time. And probably the place that Christians get confused the most is this last step of patience, of waiting, because we are bound by time. Time is something created. God is not bound by time. Time belongs to the universe. Essentially, time is the beginning of the Big Bang expanding out. So real quick, I have this line here that shows past, present, future. This is our life that we live. It's linear. Time is linear. But God is not linear. God does not operate in this line, so to speak. So if he answers our prayers, we're asking for him in the present, he might answer our prayers way over here, even though we're right here and we just don't see it yet. He's already answered. He's already placed that answered prayer there for you in your future, and you just can't see it because you're not there yet. When an artist paints a picture, he doesn't just start painting. He lays down a base coat. He lays down different colors and borders, and then he starts to paint over and draw out the image or the vision that he has. It's not automatic. And sometimes with us, God is laying down everything he needs for that prayer, for that vision that you have for your life. This part is the hardest part, and this is so applicable to any part of your Christian life, because Christians don't really get this, because God is operating outside of time. He's not in this at all. He's not waiting for you to live your life. He sees your life all in an instant. If this is a two-dimensional line, which it is, God sees your life as one point, looking through everything at once. So I hope that helped. If you have any questions or comments, email me, and God bless. Have a great new year.